Good evening, everybody in YouTube land. My name is Jared, and this is my channel Mazda B3K. In this video, we are going to replace the throttle position sensor on my brother's 1993 Ford F250 name tie. Without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty guys, so our target, see if I can't zoom in on it, is right there at the end of this harness, and it is the throttle position sensor. This is what the sensor looks like when it's out in the wild, like so. So it does have a little cup there that's going to line up with a cutout on the throttle body, and we got a pigtail. And as you can see, it mounts on the bottom of the throttle body. So honestly, to get this thing out, the only way you can do it is you got to remove the throttle body. We're going after this sensor for two reasons. Reason number one is now we got the truck running, but you can give it throttle and nothing happens because the computer controls the throttle, in the sense that it adjusts the fuel and everything else. And if this sensor is dead, that doesn't happen. So the truck really can't go anywhere. Reason number two is I have an OBD1 reader. We did a key on power on test, and it came back with a TPS voltage to low code, which is 121 or 122. And when we bought this sensor and then swapped them real fast, or just changed the pigtails, the code changed, which tells us that the original sensor is bad. Now this sensor is made by Standard, our new one, has a lifetime warranty, and the Standard part number is TH44. What my brother is working on is getting everything disconnected so we can isolate the throttle body and then take it off. So the air tubes here are going to be an 8mm or a flat bladed screwdriver to undo the clamps to get them out of the way. And then I'll point it out here, right here, one of the 4 bolts that holds the throttle body in, that is a 3/8. He has also removed the this is I think this is part of coolant overflow or coolant circulation. That goes up here, so we've gotten that out of the way. Disconnected the actual throttle linkage, so that's out of the way. Then there are 3 other 3/8 bolts. One of them is here that we have to get, and there are 2 more at the bottom that we're going to have to get out. There are also 1 or 2 more coolant lines we got to pull. There's one, bring you guys in. So there is one right here that has to come out, and then can't really see the bottom bolts, but they are kind of down in here. They're visible if you actually can stick your head up and look at them, and I can't really do that with the camera. But we're getting those out. We're going to pull that coolant line and just continue to isolate this until we can pop it off. Word to the wise, before you do this, there is a gasket between it and the plenum, upper intake. So don't do this unless you have the gasket. Alright guys, here is the throttle body. It's not fully disconnected yet, but there it is. Here's the gasket I was talking about. So you're going to want a new one, which we do have. And that is the purge solenoid that's still on there. Okay. Alright. It is free. So if you're looking at it like this, now that we're nice and close up, you can see there's a bolt hole there, one down there, and one over in the corner here by this heater core line. So there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4. here is the old TPS sensor. As you can see, it's held in with a pair of Phillips. So we're going to take that off, swap it out, and then put it all back together. And also, if you think your IAC is bad, your idle air control valve solenoid, it's right here. It's 2 bolts to take it off, but there is also a gasket there, so keep that in mind. Okay guys, check this out. This is the bottom of the throttle plate itself, and you'll see there's actually a flapper here, and that lines up with grooving inside of the TPS. It can only go one way. And this is what sends a voltage signal to the computer, letting it know the position of the throttle. So if this thing doesn't report back where in the arc this thing is, the computer does not know if you're actually opening the throttle or not. Which is why this sensor is so important, and which is why when it's dead, your truck will act like it has no power. So that's how it works. That's why it's important. So it's caught on the little grooves inside of the sensor, which I can show you here on the old one. There's 2 little tabs in there. So get it all lined up, put it back in. There is no gasket. And then just start putting everything back together. So this is what you should have when you're done. It's important that you take a look, that when you put it back on, that you get the tab on the bottom of the actual throttle plate to engage the TPS correctly. You'll know you have it right because you'll be able to rotate the throttle plate and you'll see the inside collar on the TPS rotate as you rotate the throttle plate. If you don't see that, you didn't stick the sensor on correctly, and you need to try again. Alright, so let's go over your list. You need to reconnect your throttle cable. This thing that goes to the top of the radiator, the actual TPS connector, which is right there. You have to reconnect this bottom water line right here. You have to reconnect the IAC, and you have to reconnect the air tubes. Make sure you get all of that reconnected. Also, you need to take care of the vacuum for the purge solenoid. Get that plugged back in. Get it all back together, and then can pat yourself on the back because you are done. And you have successfully switched out the sensor. Okay guys, that's going to be a complete repair. That's how to put in a TPS sensor on a 93 F250. And as you can see, they're pretty important as far as getting throttle response and overall running of the engine. So if you got a comment, leave a comment. I love reading them, responding to them, and learning from them. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that YouTube stuff. And remember, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. I'll see you guys next episode.